I'm Katie Zink, and welcome to SciEngiMathePloration. We're here at the Engineering Society of Detroit, the home of SciEngiMathePloration's secret labs. Let's go take a look inside. Hey Gary, what you doing?
Hey, did you bring the donuts?
Oh yeah, 1 second. What is it with you and donuts anyway?
Are you kidding? Donuts are the secret energy source of the entire universe. With my donut research, I might make new discoveries in string theory, perpetual motion, time travel, substantial weight gain.
Well, look at this. It looks like the North American Model Engineering Expo is coming up in Wyandotte, Michigan.
Wow, look at that. These guys make all sorts of interesting things, but they make them in miniature. They're really very tiny.
What if you could make like a really, really small submarine and inject it into the human body, and there could be like little doctors on board, and they could cure disease and fix problems?
Wow, that would be a fantastic voyage. I wonder what Raquel Welch is doing these days. Yeah, well, listen, you better get down there and check this out. Oh, and be sure to take my new helmet cam so you can get everything on tape.
I think I got it covered.
Oh, all right. Well, do you have enough videotapes?
Tapes?
Never mind. Check it out. Let me know what you find out.
Okay. Hi, we're now here at the Yak Arena in Wyandotte, Michigan, at the North American Model Engineering Expo. Let's take a look inside. We're now inside of the Yak Arena with the current president of NAMES, Michael Danko. Thank you for having us.
You're more than welcome.
So how did this whole expedition get started?
We started 25 years ago as an educational exposition for modeling, and since then have grown to be one of the premier shows in the United States.
What kind of little models will we see today?
You will see anything from washing machine to the aircraft, V8 model engines, race cars, the first cars ever built. There'll be running models of just about anything you can imagine, from boats to aircraft and so forth.
That's very cool. Let's take a look inside. Now we're here with Lee Whalen, the builder of this really incredible train. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Oh yes, I took about 8 years to build that locomotive. 5 years of that I had to work for a living, and then the other couple of years to finish it up.
What was the hardest part of building this?
I don't know. Nothing was really too hard. It just took an awful lot of time. Yeah.
And I hear that you bring this to a park and run it. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. Well, I belong to the Great Lakes Live Steamers. That's my club up here. And we have 2,000 feet of track in a public park up here in Royal Oak. And we give free rides to the public the first full weekend of each month from about noon to 4 o'clock. And we'll give a lot of rides, 700 to 800 rides each day that we're there.
1848 Carpenter Shop. This 1/12 scale diorama depicts what a carpenter shop would look like in the late 17 to mid 1800s. During the time period, steam power had not yet been used in America. Only 3 types of power existed at the time: human, such as hand or foot; animal, horse and plow, ox and cart, or horse and carriage; and lastly, water, derived from the water wheel. The lower floor consisted of woodworking benches, woodworking machinery, hand tools, and a variety of lumber. A circular stairway was beneficial when floor space was at a minimum. The lighting you see is selected to allow better viewing, as electricity was not invented until approximately 1870. The upper floor was used for cutting, storing, and drying of the lumber, and also for building projects too large for the main floor. All materials were hoisted to the second level by a rope and pulley through a large opening at the end of the building. The Carpenter Shop and contents were handcrafted from the following types of wood: African mahogany, oak, maple, cherry, walnut, and lime wood. I'm here with Scott Roos. Can you tell us a little bit about what these are that you've made?
These are all steam engines. They were run, normally in factories and things many years ago, wherever they needed power. Today, you don't really see that anymore. It's been replaced by electric motors and gasoline engines. So this is just an attempt to kind of show people what things were like, back 100, 150 years ago.
So how do you make these?
I used to be a machinist many years ago, and I have my own home shop. And so I have all the tooling at home to be able to make these engines that you see here today.
What's the hardest part of putting these together?
And the hardest part is probably to time them, because it's not just a matter of putting them together and they'll run. They have to be timed a certain way so things open and close at the correct time to make them run properly.
So how do these run? What are you using to run these?
Right now, these are run on compressed air because steam would really be too messy and it would be too hot, dangerous. But I do have a setup here where we can run them off of a bicycle pump so kids can go ahead and run them themselves too. So if you like, I can show you that.
Sure, I'd love to. Machine Shop Diorama. The Langlois Machining Co. is a fully functional miniature version of a late 1800s two-story machine shop. The main floor consists of the following: machinery, left end of building, engine lathe, wood lathe, pedestal grinder, arbor press, wood table saw, milling machine, sharper and drill press. In the center of the main floor is a twin-cylinder vertical steam engine. It powers a dynamo for the electric lighting. The upper floor has 2 offices and the boiler room consisting of a water tank, a sewer vertical boiler, and a single-cylinder horizontal steam engine. The steam engine powers the line shafts in the ceiling of the main floor where the belts are dropped down to power each machine. I'm now here with Fiore Di Bernardo, and can you just tell us a little bit about what you have here?
It's a 1939 Maserati 4CL, and the engine sitting over there is a 1940 Maserati 8-cylinder.
So what are all these pieces over here? What are they used for?
These green pieces they're made all out of wood, and they are used, they're the primary pieces to make for metal castings. You need a wood pattern to make the rubber mold. From the rubber mold, you go to a wax pattern, then to a casting mold.
And did you make all of these? Did you?
Yes, I did.
That's very cool. So where did you get all of the materials for?
This is a totally handmade car. Everything on this car has been handmade with the exception of the nuts and bolts.
So when you're making all your models, do you make different sizes or do you stick with the same size?
I stick with this particular size because I'm equipped to do it. A lot of the models here are very small. I don't have the equipment to work with that. So I work on the real cars, so my equipment is geared to that size.
That's interesting. When did you start making models?
When I was about 15.
It's cool.
15 years old, I mean.
Thank you. I'm here with Bridget Schneider, and can you just tell us a little bit about what we have here?
These are toothbrush bots. It's the head of a toothbrush. Then this is a cell phone vibrator. It vibrates. That makes it move. It's slanted, which also helps it move. If it's the other way around, it just goes in circles.
That's really interesting. So how old are you? I think you're the youngest person we've seen here today.
I'm 11 years old.
And where did you get your start in making all these different models?
My dad's been doing this for a really long time, and I just caught on to
So can you tell us a little bit about this down here?
This is a turbine. It's running off compressed air, runs through this tube, then it goes through here. It acts like a windmill.
And when did you make this?
Me and my dad made this for the second grade science fair.
That's really, really, really cool. I can't even you made this in second grade. That's amazing. I'm here with Bob Shutt, and these are really cool. Are these whistles, and how do you make these?
These are actually called steam whistles, and they're used for compressed air here at the show. But if you had a steam boiler, you could boil the water, make the steam, and they would run on steam also. So they're basically a steam whistle.
So how do you make these? Do you hand make them, or?
Yes, the valves are bought valves, and then the brass tube is a tubing, and then the brass bottoms are solid metal machined out to let the air go against the tube to make the tube vibrate.
How long does it take to make one of these?
About a weekend you can make one pretty easily.
So is this an ice cream maker over here?
This is a miniature ice cream maker. As you can see, it says 1 pint on it. A regular one would be a quart or maybe a half a gallon one. But it works just like an original or an old-time one. You crank it, and you put the ice and salt in, which would make the ice colder, the salt would, and that would make the ice cream harden up. So then you would have ice cream.
That's so cool. So would that actually work could you actually make ice cream in there? Obviously it'd be a small amount. But
You could actually make ice cream with it. It would be a small amount. But
is it hard to get the steam whistles to have the right pitch and sound?
yeah, the taller the whistle is, the deeper the sound. And if you make them shorter, then it keeps getting higher pitch sound. And then you can actually tune them by making them a certain length to make them the sound.
What is your favorite thing to make?
I like the whistles for the kids to play, as you did, and you can do it again here. Play the Mary Had a Little Lamb song on it. Works out pretty neat. So.
Thank you.
Green, blue, purple.
We're now here with Mr. Iqbal Ahmed, and can you tell us where you're from?
Yeah, I am from Nagpur, the central part of India. It is situated in the very center of the Indian map, and I am a model engineer and practicing a machine shop.
And can you tell us what you have here today?
I have got today the very first motor wagon, that is the Benz motor wagon, that I crafted in 1/4 scale, and without the blueprints, without the drawings, and just observing from the photographs.
Wow, that's really interesting. How did you make this?
Yeah, I've got a machine shop, and I just make my living on the machining things, and my hobby is to build the miniature models, the working models.
Can you tell us about your Guinness World Record, or the smallest?
Yeah, that is, I have crafted many of these smaller engines, the steam engines and the IC engines, and by the way, I was going down and down, scaling down and down, and one of my engine was so tiny, it has entered the world record, that is the Guinness World Record, and it is just 1.72 grams in weight, and it is measuring 6.8 millimeter in height.
That's amazing. How did you get your start from making models?
Yeah, just from childhood, I was making these models since 40 years.
How hard is it to make such a small model?
It requires a dedication and your willpower, and you have to do something. And now I have made the first motor wagon that is in 1/4 scale, fully functional, running on petrol, that you call gasoline in US. And the next, my latest creation was the Henry Ford's first Ford quadricycle, that is the 1896 version.
And is this right over here?
This is one the you can see the lamp. It is fully functional oil lamp with the bell ringing and the engine started. Just to see this.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I'm here with Ron Kelowna. Can you tell us a little bit about what you have here?
Yes, I've been making these things for years now. I started back in the late 70s. I started out building steam locomotives. They're coal-fired locomotives. I built several of them, and then I got into gasoline engines, and I've been building gasoline engines. These are all handmade, machined from solid, a lot of them. Some of them use castings. They run. We run them on gasoline. Some of them run on alcohol.
That's very interesting. Can you tell us a little about this bike over here? Does that actually run?
Yeah, the engine on it actually runs. It's a Whizzer. It's a model of a Whizzer motorbike, quarter-scale model, and everything works on it. It's got a twist grip throttle which controls the carburetor. The brakes work. It's got a kickstand on it. Springer fork front end. The engine runs on gasoline. It's spark ignition, and you started with a electric starter from the side.
Where did you get all the parts to make this?
It's all made from solid. Most of the frame is tubing, and it's all silver soldered together. The engine was just pieces of aluminum and cast iron machined. All the parts, the piston, the crank.
How long does it take to make a bike or an engine?
Something like this will usually take about a year. I mean, the wheels, all the spokes had to be made. Everything's machined on a lathe and in a milling machine. It takes quite a bit of work. It's interesting.
Is this a hobby or?
Yeah, it's just a hobby. I was injured in Vietnam, and I've been doing this for a few years now.
Thank you. We're here with Mike Stacy. Mike, can you tell us a little bit about this?
Well, this is a machine called a Rose engine, and it's a machine that was newly made recently, and it's based on antique machines that were used in the Victorian era, which is 1850s to around 1900.
And did you make this with, what did you use to make this?
Well, I have a machine shop, and with some help, we designed the machine based on the other antique machines that we studied, and we made the castings, and we made all the parts that you see here from scratch by hand. And someone who does woodwork made the frame and the cabinet and the drawers, anything, all the nice woodwork.
And how long did it take to make this?
Well, we built 4 of them in about 18 months. But before that, it took about close to 3 years to plan and design it.
Wow, that's very cool.
We really went into production pretty quick.
So when did you start building, and how long have you been making models?
Well, I'm really not a model maker. I'm a machinist. I'm a machinist, really. And I've been a machinist for about 16, 18 years. And I decided to get into this project and do this with my friend over there. Because we like antique machines and we like building things that are beautiful. So,
what was your favorite part of building this?
For me, I would say doing the layout and figuring out how all the little devices work together and making sure that once we've made all the parts and pieces, that when we put them all together, everything fit right and it worked right.
Thank you. American Model Engineering Expo, where we met some truly amazing people who had created some really cool things. One man holds a Guinness World Record for making a running engine that fits on his thumbnail. Another girl, who's only 10, started building models when she was 7. We also saw some amazing race cars, steam whistles, and trains that actually work. Hey Gary, you want to see my report?
Katie, what happened to you? You're so miniature.
Yeah, some of the guys down there are into some really strange things.
Stay right there. I'll get you a donut.
National American North American Model Engineering Expo.
Keep this rolling. Oh, yeah, that's critical.
The home of SciEngiMathePloration.
All right, that's
SciEngiMathePloration.
We'll try that again.